Audience, thank you very much. Happy Friday to everybody. And today's overview will be a discussion that's really going to start off with the important career question. Are you looking to leverage your career in finding a perfect career with passion and purpose? I am joined today with my favorite co-host, Mr. Bob Britz, career coach and founder of Career Coach, and special guest, Philip Migyanko. Philip is on a mission to change the way the world does and thinks about work to allow humans to thrive. This led him to the opportunity to become a career coach and develop and hone his coaching skills and leadership efforts at Happen to Your Career. Now, Philip brings his extensive knowledge of career development process to Career Coach as he continues to refine his coaching practice and philosophy through one-on-one personalized sessions. Welcome to you both.
Great. Thanks, Kevin.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, as you know, we are here to tackle another awesome topic and really to learn more about how to leverage and lean on the not only your network, but also the different elements that comprise of really seeking and finding a career with purpose. And I am joined by two experts that are going to help us really drive this conversation and hopefully share some expertise and experience for you to lean on in your career search as well. So we're going to cover the problem, the solution, and the impact. Okay, so take it away. I believe I don't know who wants to start with this topic. Bob, Philip, I'm going to lean this on you because this is your area of expertise. So I'm going to be here asking some good questions, but let's take it away.
Let's do it. Kevin, I think I'll start off because I think it's more for me. I think about this problem, and Bob and I were talking about this last week, and it's this idea, and kind of how it started was, I don't know, I was thinking about this idea that, we have this open to work, what me and Bob call this open to work wreath on LinkedIn. And I think what people accidentally do so much is they put that open a wreath thing on their LinkedIn, and then they go, all right, I'm done. No more work. I don't need to do anything else. And I was just like, Bob, I don't know why people are doing this more passive type of job search instead of doing more of an active job search. And that's one of the things that we teach at Career Coach is how do you be more active in your job search? And one of the problems with that too is that people just do what everybody else does. First, they don't know too much about applicant tracking systems. The second thing is they send bland and generic messages to hiring managers, or hopefully it gets to the hiring manager. Right. And then typically they'll have like a resume or things that don't even match the job or things like that. So it's this combination of people are doing job searches the way everybody else does. And it can lead to really ineffective or no results at all. And, we were talking before we hit record here today about sometimes it even can sour your thoughts about going for the job or even the company itself. And one of the things that we're often talking about is how do you just do it differently than everybody else? So what I think this often means is, tailoring your job actually to the job description. This means finding the right people to reach out to. And we're going to be talking about that. I know, and Bob's going to be talking about that as well, but it's just doing things differently and sending better messages to people. And this is one of the other things that, we live in a world of AI and people over leverage or have the opportunity of over leveraging AI. And we're going to get to the spot where robots are talking to robots, or you're going to have the robots send 150 resumes a day and just blast your stuff out there. And it can lead to really ineffective results.
Oh, that's so true, Philip. Thank you for pointing all of those items out. And as you mentioned, doing what everybody else is doing is ruining your efforts. And you might as well not even bother if you're going to do it ineffectively. And that's why you're two here to share with us how we can be more effective in our career search. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Philip, can you share a little bit about what that impact means to recruiters and what that impact means to people inside companies and HR trying to deal with all this stuff? How does it affect them?
Yeah, good question, Bob. So, when we are thinking about recruiter, right? And this is something that Bob and I often talk about, is you have to really tailor your resume to have the human in mind. Many people are just tailoring it to get past the applicant tracking system. But as you're thinking about it, what we often find when we're talking with people is they'll apply for a job, they'll send in their message, they'll send in their cover letter, they're sending all this stuff, but they never really actually say what job they're applying for. So it's like this very simple thing of, hey, you just tell them the job you're actually applying for. And I know that sounds really simple, but it actually is one of the things that is more effective than most other people doing. Hey, this is the job I'm applying for. This is the thing I'm going after. And it sends a very clear and direct message of, hey, I know Bob's applying for my customer service job here. That's the job we have open. It leads to this very direct approach. Bob, is there anything else to add in there too?
That's where you can help candidates and applicants hone in on that and be more specific with the assessments that we talked about last week. And I can't wait to get more into what services that you at Career Coach offer to really tie this into how you can help them in their career search. So,
yeah. I was also thinking too about the workload of the HR department, how they process how does an HR department actually process all these resumes and cover letters? How do they actually do it?
Yeah, it's, I'd be curious what you're thinking here too, Bob. But so back in the day, right, they would just be getting stacks of letters and stacks of resumes. But now it goes through the applicant tracking system, which is all what we know. So there's definitely keyword searches in there. There's all those things. But I think at the end of the day, right, is these HR leaders, these hiring managers are getting thousands of applications a day, right? So we have to do things that make us stand out. And so the way that they're having to go through this stuff is they've got this giant group of people applying into the job. They're going through the applicant tracking system. And hopefully you've got enough keywords in there. Hopefully your resume is formatted in the right kind of way to then let the person pass through. And then you get to the human in there. And so really the things that we teach at Career Coach are often about, well, how do we make it, again, driven towards the human? How is the person reading the resume? But do we have it optimized in the right way that is going to get the most amount of relevant information in there for the job as well and pass through the applicant tracking system?
May I add a comment to that too? Everybody thinks that the ATS rejects you. I can't get past the ATS. It rejected me. The truth of the matter is that the ATS has two components to it. The first of it is just those 3 or 4 questions in the very beginning. How many years have you been in the job? What education level do you have? Can you use this particular software? If it's a common question that everybody has to answer, the ATS can accept or reject you based on those things, and a human being doesn't even get to look at it. You get rejected automatically. LinkedIn has a 3-day rejection. If you don't respond to an inbound in 3 days, it has potential to reject you automatically. Isn't that creative? So beyond that, though, once it gets past the ATS, a human being must look at the resume to reject you legally. They have to review it legally before you can be rejected. Now, a lot of companies get, like Philip's saying, thousands of resumes a day. They're not going to get through everybody. So they're not going to send out all the letters. They're not going to send it out at all. So that's where you feel like you're getting ghosted. Well, there's a reason for it. If you try to do that job, you'd be ghosting people too. There's just too much to do. So that's part of it.
So what's the strategy on that? Let's talk a teensy bit about the ATS and how to get past that, because in our pre-live discussion, we talked about rejection, and you might just get a boilerplate email that says no thanks, where you can't even learn from that because you don't know why you got rejected in the first place. So I'm going to tie that back into Career Coach, where you're going to set these candidates, you're going to set your clients up so that you are most prepared. So when you are interviewing or you're applying, say you apply to 100 jobs, the statistics will show that the success rate is greater in being better prepared up front. So when you're going for it and you really have wanted to work for this company for a really long time, don't blow it by being unprepared and not being ready for the ATS. Work with you guys so that you're most prepared, so that when you do go for that, the chances of you even being seen or going on to the next process or the step are greater because you're more ready, you're more prepared. So don't blow an opportunity and be stubborn and think that by doing this independently without support, whether it's with career coach or someone else, that you're going to be successful, because there's just too many people out there that need jobs right now. You've got a tremendous amount of competition.
Well, if you want to know the secret sauce of finding the job, it's something called influence networking. It's something that we developed here at Career Coach. It's unique to Career Coach. And what it really is everyone always tells you to do what? Network, right? Network your way into your job. No one ever tells you exactly how to do it, though, right? It's like going to the Julia Child's cookbook and trying to make something. It looks good in the picture, but does not look the same on your stove when you're done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have instructions. The reason this was developed was when I started looking back across my own job history. A friend of mine had stayed with us at our home. I was actually in the process of moving from technology as a career into the career coaching business that we have today. I was evaluating all the prior jobs that I'd gotten. He said, go back and list all the companies you've worked for. So I did. He said, how many companies did you interview with on each side of that company every time that you got a job? And I went, okay. And I went back and I said, you know what? His name was Scott. I said, you know what, Scott? I said, I've gotten the job every single time I've interviewed. One company, one set of interviews, one job, every time, 15 jobs. He goes, that's pretty incredible. I said, well, I'm good at interviewing, but there's got to be more to it than just that. And what it was that each and every time I got a job, someone had introduced me to someone in the company.
Mm-hmm.
Every single, when I was in 8th grade summer, my science teacher took me to lunch at a burger restaurant. He walked me past the counter, past the grill, into the owner's office and said, you need to hire this kid. He's smart. And I got my first job by referral for $1.60 an hour. Okay.
Nice.
But the point is that each time I've done this, the biggest job I ever had, the woman who had the job called me and said, Bob, I'm going to step down to a different role. Do you want my job? And it was managing the Western 10 states for an enormous software company. It always takes someone's introduction to help it work. So how do you go about doing that? Well, your contacts are everywhere, right? How many contacts do you think you have, you guys? How many contacts, if you had to add them all up, what do you think you have out there roughly?
I would say followers versus people that you could actually reach out to that would actually know you well enough to help you. I would say should not exceed maybe 100, 150 that could really vouch for your credibility and skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But in LinkedIn, for example, or Facebook, you have all these contacts. They tell you it's your information, but they won't give you the name, phone number, and email for them, even though they're in there, right? So you have to create a list. And we usually develop a list by saying, how well do these people know you? Because how well someone knows you is completely indicative of how much they're going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
People always talk about go into this database and poke this executive and say you really like their company and you want to talk to them about. They're not going to talk to you. They don't have the time. They're not going to risk it because they don't know you. You haven't been vetted, right? So it makes it really difficult to follow that great advice of let's just go talk to people on the internet and find a job. It doesn't happen that way. They don't know you. So by doing your own list, there's a whole structured program that we have developed that's from, here's the basis of what I want. And you're talking to people about what you want, not about what job is being offered. And so you're coming into the job from a completely different direction. If you have 100 people on your list and they know 100 people, guess what? Now you have a 10,000 person network that's possible. And you're talking with one person that knows you and loves you. You can spill your coffee in the lobby. They don't care. You're sharing with them what you want, how much your pay is, what position it is, where it's located. Who do you know I might be able to talk to? And then that introduction happens. And that response is 100% of the time responded to because it's a person that knows you and a person that they know. It's a personal referral on a business level. And then it happens again. And then you're inside of a company talking to a decision maker. Typically, it's someone who's going to probably hire you. And they walk down to HR or talk to the recruiter and go, hey, this Kevlin gal, she's amazing. I want to hire her. How do I do that? Because they don't necessarily know the steps. And HR just puts a tag in your ear and says this executive wants you, and you're not interviewing with the 23-year-old HR person anymore. You're interviewing with the managerial level or the director level in the company. And basically what you're being is vetted for the role. And once it comes back that you're okay, you're okay. And the job I mentioned where the woman stepped down and offered me the job, I flew to Florida for the interview. And the senior vice president told me, he says, Bob, you have the job. Just don't screw up the interviews today. Now, how would you like to find your next job that way? As opposed to submitting and submitting and submitting and submitting. And I could do this for the next 15 minutes and I wouldn't even be done, right? It's a way different process, and it has an effect rate of about 5 to 9 weeks of finding a job, not 6 to 12 months.
So quick questions for you, Bob. How many professionals have you helped in your career over the last 18 plus years?
Oh, gosh. Right now we're over 9,300. So
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So and the other question that I would have for you, how many times have you been approached? Hey, is there somebody that's hiring at your company? Can you connect me? And how many times have you, me included, absolutely, let me at least make the introduction for you. I have a few times I haven't because I knew that person wasn't going to be a good fit, or I couldn't vouch for that person's credibility, maybe for one reason or another. But just remember how easy it is for you to introduce somebody that might approach you in your life, for you to create introductions. So don't be afraid of that. I would imagine going through your process, Bob and Philip, that people might say, well, I feel bad. I don't want to bug them, or I don't want to reach out to them, or how embarrassing, so can you touch on that, just a small amount, just to appease anybody's fears for using
Sure.
using this very effective technique?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the first characteristic of your list of people is how well they know you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody who knows you is going to feel like you're bugging them. And if they do, they're not the friend you thought they were,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's easy to get 70 to 150 people on your list that have a declining level of involvement with you, but still, you're never going to get through your list. If you get past 30 people, I'd be shocked. Absolutely shocked.
I mean, there's, off the top of my head, there's 30 people I'd love to work with, right?
Yeah.
So if you just take that as your favorites, or start with the people that you would list as your professional references, maybe that's a good list of, those might be your top tier. Maybe you hit those folks first. And I'm sure you've got in your proprietary processes and program that you can teach people kind of what to look for, as far as, obviously, and the other thing too, I want to just take a small amount of time to talk about the assessments in your process and program, that you really help your clients develop, in their own sense, more confidence and more education in how to tackle their career and find the career that it will meet the passion and purpose effectively, and hopefully within 5 to 9 weeks.
Right. Philip, you want to take some of the assessment stuff? You've been doing a lot with that.
Yeah, I think this comes back to this idea that we're talking about from before, from getting hired for your passion and purpose. And so we go back to these assessments that we use, and we really get into this idea of, we use DISC as one of the, I've been going through it. It's one of the best assessments out there. But really, more importantly, we use other assessments to really understanding, hey, the types of jobs you've been at before, and even the tasks you've been at before, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and how can we move forward to even look at jobs in the future. And the thing that Bob was talking about too, when it comes back down to the influence networking, is, I think the thing that works in there, at least what I believe, is the level of specificity of, I want this job doing this thing at this location and all this stuff. And that comes about by having the self-awareness. So the assessments we use are really driven to help you know what you're good at, know what the environments you thrive in are, but enable you to have those really great conversations on the other part. And then hopefully, that's all coming from a place of truthfulness of, this is what I actually do and who I am. And that gets you hired on to that place. And doing it the way that we have here at Career Coach of the influencer networking, you're doing it with people who already know you, in a place where that you are effective and saying what you want in a way that works for you. So the assessments much more are driven around, hey, how can we really get deep into knowing who I am, who am I, what is this all about, but really where can I be the most effective in those places.
Mhm.
I see the assessments as a silver lining where you might find something about yourself that you didn't know you'd be really good at or have
Yeah.
a further interest in pursuing. And I think it really allows some freedom in the search to uh, expand your horizons and to have confidence in those skill sets that were now brought out to you in a professional assessment like the DISC.
Right.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
funny thing is, it can be what you're good at that you're looking at. It can also answer the question of why am I failing over and over again?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Oh,
I get
right.
I get entrepreneurs coming to me and they want to start a business. And I take a look at their profile and I'm like, you don't have a business owner profile here. You're deficit in this area, this area, and this area. You're going to have to either hire someone to do those roles for you, and you're not going to be the CEO, or you're going to be CEO with a lot of support around you to make that happen. So there's all kinds of different ways that assessments can help you move forward in your job. And one of the funny things we were talking about earlier is about having about 100 people in your network that you're going to be talking to and things like that.
Yeah.
And those response rates are 100%. And I mean 100%. You get an answer to every one of those emails. You know how many answers to your emails you get when you submit for jobs? Zero. Almost
Maybe.
zero or one, right?
Yeah, maybe zero. Like
Maybe zero
way
if you're lucky, right?
underneath that negative.
But what does that do to your personal feeling about yourself while you're applying?
Yeah.
Oh, it
You're
makes you feel
getting
terrible.
you're getting feedback, but see in the influence networking, you're getting feedback every single time you talk with somebody. And the other thing that's really crazy is people commute an hour and a half, 2.5 hours each way to get to their job in some big city. And they drive by a 2 or 3 story building in their town
Mm-hmm.
that has an employer that would love to have them and will pay almost the same wages as the big city because they have to. And the company's been there for 20 years with 200 employees. And you
Yep.
never notice it because they don't have a marquee on the building as you fly past it on your commute to the city. So we've saved people not only just the time, but the $18,000 to $20,000 a year they're spending in commuting on top of that, just by having a job more local to who they are.
So the assessments, is that included in your program, Bob and Philip? So like before we finish off here, and these key topics are really amazing to kind of open up dialogue to what people should be kind of anticipating, whether they work with you or stay independent. And is there something that you could, is there like a package that's included in this, like what to expect?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'll
there's
let Bob
actually
take that.
there's 4 stages of the program that we offer. The first one is passion and purpose, which is a deep dive into what you've been doing all your life that you really enjoy doing, and then applying that to the workplace as opposed to just letting those things sit out there. And then there's the assessments that you're talking about, Kevin, a series of 3 of them that we do and debrief them in detail with the client. And now you're ready to do a resume, LinkedIn, and cover letter.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that beforehand, you're missing all the learnings you're getting from the assessments. And then you have your toolkit. And that's where most people stop and they start submitting online, right? For us, we go from the toolkit to influence networking, which facilitates those conversations that gets you literally walked into your next job. So there's 4 areas that we look at. Plus there's interview helps and offer letter negotiations and all that kind of stuff too. But those are the 4 core areas that people tend to get involved with us in.
And I just learned something, so that's great. That's great information. So on the assessments, all of your career coaches, which I don't want to quote you, how many career coaches do you have across the country?
We have 19 across the country in 14 locations in Canada, and hopefully in January, Romania is going to open up. So
That's right.
it's crazy. Yeah,
Congratulations.
we're getting everywhere.
So basically, there's a career coach near you,
Pretty
or
much.
at least somebody that you could connect with in your nearby demographic that can also provide to you the same processes and program that you're talking about here.
Mhm.
And Bob and I go way back 18 plus years, and it's been amazing to see your growth in your company and how many people, 9,300 professionals that you have successfully placed in fulfilling careers. So you know your stuff. And Philip's background, I'm really excited to see you start really, kicking off here locally. We're in the Northern California area, and
Yeah.
just really excited about this. And the assessments, is that something so when they want to talk, so when somebody wants to talk to you, maybe a new prospect that hopefully we'll get some calls here today, can they reach out to you and you can go over just the basics with them? No
Mhm.
obligation, and or it's a nice conversation to further explore what they might be looking for and what you might be able to provide to them.
100%. We are in the people helping business, right? So
Okay.
really what a lot of this is jump on the phone with Bob or myself. We're on LinkedIn right now, so you'll probably see our LinkedIn and be able to click right
Yep.
on our faces. And then we do a 30 to 45-minute alignment call. Really what that's more driven around is let us help understand more where you're looking to go, what your goals are, see if we're a great fit working together. And if so, we'll talk about those 4 things that Bob was talking about and recommend one of those, all of them, none of those. It really depends. But more of this is that we're here to help. I always think the power of a coach, or at least the power of coaches here, especially with the company that Bob has provided here, and then all the coaches we have on our team, my background is nth to the power to a million. Is we've helped lots of
For
people,
sure.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And it's saving time and money. So instead of having to go put all those applications out there and just get those rejection emails, is how do we just save you time and ultimately save you money in the long run? So
Mhm.
after this, connect with all of us on LinkedIn. Let us know what's going on. We want to hear from you. And more than likely, you're probably going through what a lot of the people that we already work with already go through. Like, yeah, I've heard it. Here's what we can do.
So we've got a comment here for Bob, if you want to go ahead and take that one.
Yeah, it says someone was not qualified to have my own business, yet I was very successful. You figure it out. You hire accountants and are still the CEO. I'm not really sure what the intent of the question is. I'm not sure whether
We're
they're
very
saying that
much not
they,
qualified
suc
to have my own business.
they
Yeah.
succeeded when they shouldn't have. Uh, you know, even a blind mice found some cheese every once in a while. I mean, there's that scenario.
Well, I
But
think,
I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet that Colleen has had some help and input from other people around her to make her successful
yeah,
if she had not been qualified. And you can certainly do that. Was one of the options I gave was surround yourself with people who can help you be the CEO
Yeah.
or be the CEO to start with. So I think I understand the question, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe she can add some flavor to that and we can address it in a few moments.
well, and I think somebody like Colleen too, where she's got a specialized expertise as an accountant, where and maybe she has that CEO mindset or had that leadership CEO founder mindset where she knew that she was going to start her own business. There's accountants out there that don't necessarily have that want to work for, say, Colleen or an accountant firm. And so that's really more of why we're here is it's not the ultimate answer. It's a wonderful solution. It's a wonderful avenue. And for somebody like me, Phil, and Bob as founders, entrepreneurs, there certainly are tons to learn from people that have the expertise in doing this in the career search as Bob and Philip do. So
Yeah.
uh,
And I think the other thing I'd add in there too is like, the way that I take that is, and the thing I always tell people in looking for new career changing jobs is you don't do it alone. You
right.
more than likely do it with other people. And it's what we talk about in influencer networking is go and find those people. Go find those people who know you, who can advocate for you, or maybe know a little bit more than you do, and bring them in, right? You're not doing this alone. That's where coaching comes into places.
Yeah,
That's exactly what our job is enabled to do.
Hmm.
that's
Absolutely.
great. Well, and
It is.
that's why I've kept Bob around for so long.
Yeah.
Hey, just to fill in the gap a little bit, I looked up Colleen's LinkedIn, and she's a self-employed freelance writer. So
There you
she's a
go.
sole proprietor, sole
Yeah.
writer, which is very easy to do. Not easy to do itself, but easy to have your own business as a sole practitioner. What I was talking about really is if you're starting like doing a startup. I've got some people I'm working in their early 30s. They're going to be doing a gaming company startup in the next
Oh,
couple of months. That's a huge endeavor, but the main guy running it is not the CEO type person. He doesn't have the drive, the focus, the ability to really drive a company. He needs to have either an advisor or someone else helping him to do that. So I
right.
hope that clears up the question that Colleen asked and also the answer to that question as
Right,
well.
right. And there's so many wonderful options out there for whatever direction you want to go into. And I believe in the career coach. And Philip, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm going to take the DISC assessment.
Are you really?
Yes.
Oh.
and it's going to be unveiled in public on this stage.
Platform.
Well, if I can just make any bets right now, I bet you're going to be a high I, like I'm a high I. I'm just gonna put that out there. So if I can bet on anything, but I'm so excited to see it.
That's the social extrovert type person is the high.
Oh yes,
but no details.
Philip, you're invited, please, and maybe you can hold my hand because I'm scared.
100%.
But really, the gist of it is to show that it's a learning experience, and it could be something that, like I've told Bob, I said, if it comes back with crime scene investigation or news anchor, we're talking. But there might be something in there based on skill set that doesn't align with the thing that I've been doing for 18 years, right? So really excited about that. And it's going to be like a when somebody's having a baby and they don't know the gender reveal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be that. And because I don't want to know the results, I want it to be where it's just raw and we, hey, pretend that we're going through the same process as somebody else would be. I just happen to be brave enough to do it in front of the world.
Love it.
So there's 3 jobs that come up every once in a while for people that are unlikely jobs, but are high paying and high satisfaction jobs.
Right.
One of them is a mortician. Now, if you don't like dealing with dead people, probably not a good job for you, but it pays well over 6 figures. The other one is a hairdresser or barber. $175,000 a year for a hairdresser barber is not uncommon in metro areas.
Sign me up.
Yeah, and it's high social, right? So you're chit-chatting with everybody. The last one blew me away. Without a college degree, high school graduate, $115,000 a year. They can't find enough people to do it. A locomotive engineer, if you can believe that.
Interesting.
And I was talking with a guy who had recently retired. He filled me in on all the details. I was blown away. And I would, like you say, we're talking about defining your bliss as one of the comments. If you figure out that you really love trains and locomotion and you don't have a family that wants to see you very often, you could be a locomotive engineer and really, really enjoy that. And sometimes the things that you enjoy in your life are not the things that your parents tell you to go into or that the media tells you to go into. There's ways to do it. It's really amazing. So
no, it's exciting, and we've got Colleen back. She's setting us straight here. So I had a 6-figure pet sitting business with employees.
That's interesting.
Writing is what I do now.
My program manager does pet sitting as well, and yeah, you're right, Colleen. You can make some bucks doing that.
Yeah,
hey,
you can really do well. If you have to like animals and not have allergies, but other than that, it's a great business.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That's awesome. Thank you, Colleen. Thank you for letting us talk with you here. So, well, this is great. So we're all on LinkedIn. You can go to each of our LinkedIn pages if we can clarify any questions that you have, or if there's further information that Bob and Philip can provide to you. I believe there's an introductory call that both of them have as an offer as well. Again, we're on LinkedIn. Go to our profile picture underneath. There's a contact link that you can delve into our own backgrounds and what we have to offer. And I always forget to introduce myself, so I'm going to do it now at the very end of the show. I always do this. And so my name's Kevlin, and I help contractors, construction industry, ICT industry, really help to market their business and provide business solutions to them that can help them not only generate more revenue and grow and possibly scale, but to identify areas that they can utilize, such as reoccurring revenue of areas that they didn't think of, or you go in and do an assessment. And I have a huge brag. Can I brag just for a second?
Let's do it.
Go ahead.
So this last week, I started on last Friday, and Wednesday, I was able to work with a business owner. It wasn't in marketing. It wasn't in doing any LinkedIn profile. Had nothing to do with that. Based on an assessment that we did earlier on, I knew that there were some questions that I needed to ask in a certain department that they had. And I was able to stop revenue loss, blood loss, if you will, in the tune of $398,000. I was able to stop that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So pretty proud of that. And that took about 72 solid hours of effort. But things like that, where the introductory call and the assessment of your business, it's not being nosy. It's not, when you're going to work with these guys, it's not that they're asking you questions to pick apart something that you might have. They're asking questions to peel back the onion in areas that you might not have further explored on your own. And same with our clients. We want to know what really is happening so that we can help you and guide your company to be a profitable endeavor in the future, and or a successful career in the future as well. So, Bob, Philip, is there anything else that you want to add?
Don't think so. We're good for today. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, you bet. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again for joining us. Philip, you survived us.
I
Thank you
survived.
so
All my
much.
fingers and toes. I'm all good.
Yes, and Bob survived another one co-hosting experience with me. So thank you, Bob, for being here and again sharing your expertise and your passion for what you do. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. I think we've got another event planned for next week. And
Next Friday, yeah.
so join us again. Philip, you're on for the unveiling. Please be there with me. I have no idea what to expect, but have a great weekend, everyone. Safe travels. Have a great weekend. Friday, and we'll see you all soon.